you all set?
Okay. All right, well, let's start it up. Today is the Wednesday, July 23rd meeting of the Burlington Board of Electric Commission. We do have one change to the agenda. And actually, you guys have the reading for the motion over there, and it's to add agenda item number 9, which is the Sheffield wind contract extension. So if someone could do that.
I move that the Burlington Electric Commission approves to adopt the updated agenda for July 23rd, 2025, to include item number 9, Sheffield wind contract extension, discussion, and vote as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Any objections? Vote? All vote?
All in favor?
All in favor, sorry.
Indicate by saying aye.
Indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you. All those opposed? Nope. Okay, 5 ayes. That has been added to the agenda. And the next thing is the election of officers. So my name's Elena Alexander, and I'm the temporary board clerk. And the July meeting is to figure out the Burlington Electric Commission's organizational order. The first order of business is to elect the officers. So at this time, I'm going to open the floor for nominations for the chair of the commission.
I would nominate Commissioner Bond.
Second.
Bethany, you said second?
Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote by a show of hands. Please indicate yea or nay, or yay.
Yay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4s have it. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
At this time, I'm going to move the meeting over to you so you can take over, and I have written some stuff down there for you.
Great, thank you. At this time, I'm opening the floor for nominations for vice chair of the commission.
I nominate, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I nominate Andy Voda.
I'll second that nomination.
Any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. By show of hands, can you indicate your support for Commissioner Voda? Okay. I think we have all the votes, so congratulations to Commissioner Voda, vice chair position. All right. At this time, I open the floor for nominations for board clerk of the commission.
I nominate Elena Alexander.
Thanks.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that nomination.
Great. Is there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. By show of hands, please indicate your support for Elena Alexander as board clerk. Of 5 members present, we have all of the cast in support of Elena Alexander as board clerk. Congratulations to Elena. Great. Okay. So we have now moved up on the agenda the Sheffield wind contract extension as item number 1. Is that correct? Or
Oh.
oh no.
It was going to be moved to item number 9, but
Oh,
if we need to
oh.
change order, we can do that at this time.
Okay, I see. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so no, we're going to move to the minutes and approving the minutes for the the June 11th meeting. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Any feedback?
Move to accept minutes as presented.
Okay. Any other? All right, the minutes have been accepted for the June 11th meeting. Okay, at this time, we have the public forum. So it looks like we have quite a few folks here that potentially have signed up to speak or even online. Can we, thank you.
There's a list. I don't know who you wanted to speak.
Did you want to sign up?
I would like to say yeah.
Yes. I don't have let me grab a pen from, oh, there you go, thank you. Yeah, great. Perhaps while we finish that out, do you want to, is there anyone online who is looking to speak? Can you see that, Elena?
There is someone, but I don't have a hand. Yep,
Now we do.
Great. Jevons Paradox, you have the floor.
We can't hear you, Jevons.
Yes, if you have, perhaps we unmute, mute again.
Burlington resident and Burlington Electric ratepayer. I'd like to make some comments about the strategic direction. There's some.
Hang on,
I'm
hang
so
on.
sorry, pause for 1 second. We unfortunately can't quite hear you, so just pause for 1 second. Let's see if we can do it on our end and turn up the volume.
I'm sorry, this is my first time using Microsoft.
That's okay.
Isn't there an easier way to tell which speaker I'm coming out of?
Could the speaker on the phone try one more time for us, please?
Sure. Is this any better?
No, unfortunately, it's a little
Barely.
softer.
Because I'm hearing them.
Just one more moment. We're working on it on our end.
It's just magic.
Should we try again or just wait one more moment?
Yeah. Yes, if they could.
Yeah.
I don't have a.
Could the speaker on the phone try one more time for us, please?
Or just say test, 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 so we can figure out the volume.
Test, test, test.
There we go.
Great. That's great.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thank you. So there are some good goals articulated in the strategic direction document, and I appreciate its continued focus on low-income customers. However, I believe Burlington Electric Department and this commission must begin to recognize that the 2019 resolution calling for a climate emergency had a commitment to achieving net zero greenhouse gases in the electrical sector. And I'm quoting now from the resolution. Whereas the city of Burlington is committed to achieving net zero greenhouse gases emissions by a vision of net zero by 2030, which would transition Burlington to a net zero energy city across electric, thermal, and ground transportation sectors by managing demand, realizing efficiency gains, and expanding local renewable generation while increasing system resilience. The net zero language here in the strategic direction document and elsewhere in other BED documents should be revised to accurately reflect the intent of the 2019 resolution. And with specifics, the DES is still listed in this strategic direction document. This district energy plan will increase greenhouse gas emissions relative to a do-nothing alternative. At this point in time, it's probably going to cost over $50 million. It's going to increase costs to consumers. That $50 million could buy a lot of community solar for renters and others who can't put solar on their own roofs. And I think that the district energy needs to be removed from this strategic direction document. I commend BED for including language that directs them to seek consumer and customer input, which would be incorporated into program design. I don't believe that BED has, in actuality, been meeting this goal. I and others have been asking for much of what I'm saying tonight for several years. And finally, my last comment, the document calls for a website and other educational tools so that customers can evaluate both cost and greenhouse gas emission reduction outcomes from heat pumps, electric vehicles, and other electrification technologies relative to current fossil fuel sources. I think this is great. I'm not sure it actually exists yet, but if so, that's great. but I'd like to see a similar tool so that you commissioners and customers at large could see the relative costs in greenhouse gases from other power sources so that we can see how McNeil stacks up against other sources on the grid. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Typically, I don't know if the general manager has any comments now, or
No.
we'll keep going through. Yes, okay. We also have in the audience a few folks who wanted to come up. So first is Nick Persempieri.
Thank you. I'm Nick Persampieri. I'm a Burlington Electric ratepayer and a resident of Ward 3. I am very concerned about the legislation that the Connecticut governor signed on July 1st, which it appears will impact Burlington Electric's ability to sell renewable energy credits from McNeil in the Connecticut Class 1 market. McNeil's financial health is heavily dependent on those rec sales. Over the last several years, typically those rec sales have generated revenue of $6 to $8 million. Burlington Electric's 50% share of those is $3 to $4 million. As I have pointed out in prior meetings, the plant is losing money according to the financial statements prepared by Burlington Electric, even including those rec revenues. Now we face the possible loss of those rec revenues. I'm also concerned that General Manager Springer in his July 11th, 2025 memo states that in order to be able to continue to sell those recs, BED would have to be selected through a Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection RFP process. And I'm not really sure what he's referring to there, whether he's talking about a proposal to continue to sell recs or a proposal to sell power. I'm also concerned that entering into any kind of long-term commitment to sell power, especially, or even recs, is not the direction we should be going. We should be trying to close McNeil for the reasons I've stated at previous meetings. I'm also concerned that at the same time that we face these potential additional losses, BED behind closed doors is negotiating a potential buyout of the interests of the owners of the other 50% of the plant. Right now, BED bears only half of the plant's losses. If it becomes 100% owner, it would be subject to 100% of the losses. At the same time, BED is also still, as far as we know, pursuing the district energy project, again behind closed doors, which could lock in continued operation of the plant, again, in the face of more potential losses. We think this is not the direction we should be headed, and there's been very little information made available to the public about either the potential buyout or district energy. We'd like to see some public disclosure as to what's going on those two issues so that the public can express its views.
Can I stop you right there real quick? You say behind closed doors as if they're doing something wrong.
I don't mean to
Hang on,
imply
just hear me
that.
out.
Yeah.
Negotiations for purchasing property are, by nature, behind closed doors. The fact that they're doing it is open in public. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a fair criticism.
Your characterization is a bit off.
That's a fair criticism. I apologize. I didn't mean to imply they're doing anything wrong, but the fact is that there has not been public discussion about what's going on. Maybe there's a little something buried in some of their rate filings, but as far as something publicly accessible, easily accessible, I haven't seen anything. Finally, I wanted to say that I agree with the prior speaker that there should be some changes to Burlington Electric's strategic direction. It states a vision for 2025 to become a net zero energy city by eliminating fossil fuel usage and expanding local renewable generation. You become net zero by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. That's what net zero means. It means reducing greenhouse gas emissions so that they're in balance with the absorption of carbon dioxide by our forests and our oceans. And so their strategic vision should focus on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, not just eliminating fossil fuel use. And this is particularly troubling to me, to have this as their strategic direction when they have this wood-burning power plant that is the largest source of carbon dioxide emissions in the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say the largest single, but not the largest. Vehicles are the largest in the state.
Transportation.
It's the
Single.
largest
Let's be
single
clear.
stationary
Single,
source.
But it's not the largest source in the state. I want to be clear about that.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ashley Adams.
Hi there, Ashley Adams, and I will read. I apologize in advance, but this is based on the time that I had to prepare, and I appreciate the time that each of you dedicates to this important task on this commission. As a business owner, I'm deeply concerned about the direction in which Burlington Electric continues to lead Burlington, and I'm disappointed that this body continues to support that direction. So I hope that you will consider feedback that you hear tonight, and I'm sure that you will. As a parent, as I parent my child through climate collapse in a world of disappearing species, I find the continued operation of McNeil to be disgraceful. And I can't believe we're still having this conversation. The public good is not served by paying for the most expensive and polluting way to generate power. The public good is not served by Burlington's outsized contribution to the climate emergency, by contributing to habitat and biodiversity loss as we burn so-called low-value trees from the forests of Vermont and New York. The public good isn't served by reducing our ability to mitigate floods and clean our air and water. It certainly isn't served by dumping deadly particulate matter and other toxic air pollution into our most vulnerable neighborhoods. The public good isn't served by clinging to McNeil, the highest carbon emitter in Vermont, keeping it open in perpetuity, which seems to be the plan here, while Burlington Electric peddles the net zero roadmap, which seeks only to reduce fossil fuel use. Any mildly climate concerned person knows that we need to eliminate greenhouse gas pollution from every source. Allowing lies about McNeil to remain on Burlington Electric's website, including the outrageous science-denying claim that operating the plant results in an 85% reduction in greenhouse gas pollution. We know that isn't true. Failing to recognize that dumping $49 million plus into the harebrained district energy project would be a scandalous waste of money that would increase greenhouse gas pollution and lock Burlington into a dirty energy future. Failing to initiate the World War II effort called on by the City Council in 2019 to address the climate emergency in meaningful ways, such as by putting solar on every rooftop and parking lot in Burlington. That's just one example. The loss of yet another $1 million for ratepayers due to improper filing of REC paperwork. Engaging in closed-door negotiations to purchase the McNeil plant from joint owners, thereby shouldering ratepayers with 100% of the millions in annual losses from McNeil. Failing to plan for dealing with the entirely foreseeable loss of REC purchases from Connecticut, perpetuating the myth that McNeil provides reliability to ratepayers that we wouldn't otherwise have, perpetuating the myth that Burlington needs to generate its own power. We certainly do not. Perpetuating the myth that McNeil keeps our rates low, when in reality, it's far more expensive than the ISO New England grid mix, which emits 7 times less greenhouse gas pollution per unit of energy than McNeil. It should not be ratepayers' responsibility to prop up the forestry industry in Vermont or New York, and certainly not at the expense of climate, biodiversity, and our own health. So I urge you to consider that the most important way that you could fulfill your fiduciary duty here is by initiating a plan today to retire the polluting McNeil plant and offer a fair and just transition for McNeil employees, which we all want to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next we have, forgive my pronunciation, Leander Hussman?
What did you say? I didn't sign up.
Oh, okay.
Not to talk.
Did I sign it?
Okay.
I
No,
thought I
that's
was
okay.
supposed to sign it.
No, that's all right, yeah. Peter McCausland?
So I have a first question. Am I allowed to ask the commissioners questions? I have a simple question. How about that? Because, first of all, I'd like to make a statement. Generally speaking, when a commissioner receives a email or handwritten letter with respect from a Burlington resident, would you expect them to acknowledge receipt of that? Yes, okay. So I know that some people, mail gets lost in the mail, and some people delete their email. So I wrote Scott an email in October. I was apologetic for my action with Councilor Bergman back in August of last year. I explained myself, that's why I left the meeting. I thought Bergman was out of order, and that's why I spoke out of turn. But in that, I asked you about Quantified Ventures, a possible funding source for Burlington District Energy. In July of 2024, Mike Ahern of Evergreen Energy sent an email to General Manager BD and Vermont Gas accepting a $49 million proposal. That was July of 2024. I contacted Quantified Ventures several times. I recently visited their office in Montpelier, going there, and does Burlington District Energy have a spokesperson? Because I would like to know the answer if Quantified Ventures decided on a category 1 or a category 2. How would I find that answer? Who is the spokesperson for Burlington District Energy? Because Elena asked me to contact Joe Dempsey, city attorney. I've done that twice, no response. What can you say to me?
I think we can take note and see if there's someone to respond to you or follow up on this request.
I can just offer that
Okay.
there is no, this entity that I think you're referencing is an entity, my understanding, that was created under the EPA Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund or is participating in the EPA Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund,
Correct.
which may or may not have been completely eliminated, I think, in the last legislation at the federal level, and was providing lower interest financing opportunities to different projects.
Right.
But we don't have any particular relationship with them.
But according to the Mike Ahern email, it acknowledged receipt of a proposal for $49 million.
There might have been a proposal that they offered, and he might have received it, but
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else to really share on that.
Okay, so to the best of your knowledge, Quantified Ventures probably will not be considering financing Burlington District Energy?
I don't really have much more information than there was this entity. They had potentially low-interest financing through the Greenhouse Gas Fund.
Okay.
I think they had been in touch with Michael. He had looked at, options there. They may have been in touch, but there's nothing formal there whatsoever that I'm aware of.
Okay, so I'll be in touch with Andy Rob Vogel of SRH Law, and we know each other on a certain basis, and so let's see how I do there. The other thing I want to mention is that in July of 2024, it was a $49 million project. That's a year ago. In November of 2023, it was a $42 million project. I'm not a financial analyst, but my rough guess, talking to an accountant down in Rhode Island, is probably near 60 million now. Based on those numbers, I think this commission needs to acknowledge the cost and share that information with the city council. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tate Agnew signed in. Do you wish to speak?
No, I was just spectating.
Okay. Next, we have Steve Goodkind, who's signed in. Do you wish to speak?
I'm Steve Goodkind. I am the happily retired Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of Burlington and a dedicated member of the Stop Vermont Biomass Organization. I'm not going to repeat what people have said, but just to summarize, a number of people have spoke about the district energy project, and I think it is time to let us know what's happening. 20 months ago, the city passed a resolution regarding this project, and it was under the understanding that this had to be done right away. This was literally an emergency. If this resolution was not approved, there'd be no project. Now, I'm not saying that that was a lie, but it's certainly false. And the whole premise of that resolution and the environment by which it was approved has certainly just been thrown to the wayside. And I think it is time to let us know what's happening and maybe to consider in a calmer fashion without the emergency hanging over us, because it obviously isn't, what that resolution should look like. It does have some good points, but on the other hand, it was definitely negotiated under duress. And I don't think it was a fair representation to say that that was an emergency. And just one other point. I'm an engineer. I'm a retired engineer. If someone came to me and said, this is the most dangerous structural bridge in the state of Vermont, and here's number 2, I wouldn't be arguing. I wouldn't expect them to argue which is 1 and which is 2. They're both bad. And argue that cars are worse than McNeil with CO2 production. If that's offending people or people are angry about someone saying that, that's not even the issue. They're both really bad. And one is not less bad. The one that's less bad, whichever you think it is not better than the one that is more bad. So just from a technical standpoint, that's a nonsensical thing to even worry about. I think McNeil is the largest stationary producer of CO2 in the state. But even if it's number 2, it's still really bad. And so is the other one, the cars. So I would just say that's not an argument that really makes sense to me at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, you've signed in. Do you wish to speak?
So first I want to thank you. I'm sure it's a big job keeping the lights on and helping Burlington transition their buildings to more efficient and less emitting things like heat pumps, and some of those things you're doing a great job on. So I would like to actually talk to you today about the health impacts of burning wood. For the last 4 years, this is mainly what I study, and I have good connections with researchers in the medical field who guide me on reading the right things. And of course, the American Lung Association produces a lot of extensive literature on human health. So wood, which is what McNeil burns huge amounts of, is the most toxic fuel we burn for human health. Have you all heard of something called PM 2.5? Does anybody not know what that is? PM 2.5 is one of our 5 critical air pollutants that the EPA, regulates, and you have to report how much McNeil and other things emit. PM 2.5 is so teeny that it's slightly bigger than the coronavirus. So on wildfire days, hot tip, wear your K95 mask. If it can screen out the coronavirus, it can screen out the PM 2.5. And medical science, American Lung Association, all of our top medical schools, all of our top researchers, there is no amount of PM 2.5 that is considered healthy. So on the most recent report I've seen, McNeil was emitting over 5 tons of it, even with your very fancy electrostatic precipitator. So that's bathing the workers, the Old North End, the Winooski neighborhoods right around it, and when there's good wind, it bathes a good chunk of Chittenden County in an air pollutant that is known to exacerbate asthma and COPD, and so the ERs and the lung clinics at UVM fill up when it's bad, like especially with wildfire smoke. That's a huge new input of that. But in addition to that, the Harvard Chan School of Public Health has a very good video on how now PM 2.5 is being connected not only to bad heart and lung issues and cancer, but it is also connected now with mood disorders and dementia. So you may not know someone with asthma, but chances are really good you know someone with a mood disorder or dementia. And PM 2.5 is particularly bad for unborn children through the teen years and people over 65, and is connected with higher death rates in communities that get lots of air pollution if people are over 65, which is a lot of Vermonters. Vermont ranks 5th in the nation for asthma. So that's according to the Vermont Department of Health website. You can go see that too. And they have lots of information on who gets, who is more prone to asthma. And it's a lot of the people living right near McNeil. It's renters, it's low income, it's LGBTQ persons, it's people of color. They have even more asthma than the average, and we're already not doing well. So that's just PM 2.5, and wood emits more than coal. I mean, most people think coal is the worst thing you can possibly burn. Actually, modern science is pretty much coming to the conclusion that it's wood. And the American Lung Association is now saying wood is replacing coal in causing mortality issues in the American population. Just recently, if you read the New York Times, you may have caught it. They covered that the one of our top scientific journals is the journal Nature. And in that magazine, research was just published connecting air pollution to non-smokers getting lung cancer. 10 to 25% of lung cancer cases are now non-smokers. And their research showed that they had more exposure to air pollution than secondhand. They didn't even have secondhand smoke as a major risk factor. It was air pollution. And so we're seeing more and more people with lung cancer. So those are just a tip of the iceberg of the health problems with burning anything, but especially wood. And the cool thing about when you transition to something else is that the human health responds very quickly. You know, climate change is a crisis. I think we all know that. We're seeing the flooding, we're seeing the wildfires, we're seeing the horrendous challenges. And with climate change comes hotter air, even for Vermont. And hotter air combines with some of those things that burning fuels emit, causing ground level ozone, which is also a major health impactor, not a good impactor. And Vermont is now, you know, tomorrow it's going to be 95. We will probably have some ground level ozone. And that's because of the interaction of sunlight and heat and air pollution. So please, for the sake of your workers and the sake of those who live near McNeil, which is really all of Chittenden County, I hope you will find a way to transition off burning anything to create electricity. And one final thing of hope, I was talking with a good friend of mine whose company puts in solar and heat pumps and all that, and I'm like, what are you going to do? All the rebates are disappearing. What's going to happen? And he's like, well, believe it or not, at least initially, solar is going to get cheaper because they're going to have massive amounts of solar they're trying to get rid of. So there you go. Grab some solar, get us off of burning things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak? Next, if we move on to the Commissioner's Corner, is there anything from the Commissioner's Corner? Any commissioners who would like to bring up anything for discussion?
So just one thing is I have to leave
Yep.
early tonight. So just for kind of responding to some of the public comment, are there updates with District Energy? It does feel like we haven't heard about that in a while.
So with District Energy, I think what may have been lost is we had the November City Council approval. Relatively immediately, there was a move on a part of, I think, maybe one or more city councilors to update the just then passed carbon fee. And the medical center said, we're not going to discuss District Energy while that's under consideration. And that lasted for several months into 2024. Then we did have a mayoral transition. We spent some time, understanding the various new priorities of the administration. There was a prioritization appropriately of the land use MOU discussion with the medical center that would govern their future kind of land use and investments in their campus. That just concluded, I believe, in February of 2025. And then at the same time, we, with some limitations in terms of capacity, have been trying to manage the negotiations discussion, manage 2 studies that are part of the District Energy resolution, other initiatives like battery storage RFP that impacts on McNeil, looking at the engineering for the wood chip dryer. So we really haven't had a huge amount of time without constraints to consider kind of where things stand relative to District Energy, and there have been some other higher priorities that we've been putting time into. So hopefully in the next several months we can offer some further guidance and update on where things stand there. But I just think it's important to have that in mind, because we can flash back to the November 23 and say, okay, what's been happening? And there were several constraints that limited our ability to have productive discussions on this topic because there were other factors in play.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner points for discussion?
No, this time.
So I just have a couple other clarifications. So is it true that ISO New England has lowered greenhouse gas emissions and is less expensive than McNeil?
So if you're going to contend that the ISO grid is lower emissions than McNeil, I think you are only able to make that contention if you're purely looking at stack emissions, potentially. And then, of course, there's some nuclear in the ISO mix, which this community has said in every way, shape, and form I'm familiar with, we don't want nuclear. So we can't kind of say, oh, we would take it in the ISO mix if we're not willing to contract for it.